tell you a story from the companions. This is probably one of my... It's just an amazing incident, brothers and sisters. There was a companion called Rabi'a, and we only know about this companion through this story. We don't have any hadith from him. We don't have... All we know about this one companion is from this story. When the Muslims were fighting the Persians, this is after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Muslims were fighting the Persians, and the famous Persian general Rustum, he wanted to talk to the Muslims. So he told them to send an ambassador. So who do the Muslims send? They send Rabi'a. And now you have to imagine this scene, right? He comes to the tent of Rustum. Rustum is this general. This tent, this huge tent, the carpet, brothers and sisters, of this tent, the carpet is encrusted in precious stones. Can you imagine? Imagine you walk on a carpet and sewn into the carpet are emeralds and rubies and sapphire and diamonds. Can you imagine? That's what we'd be doing, right? But how does Rabi'a come? He comes with his spear. He's walking, digging his spear. He doesn't even look. He's not even just walking, digging his spear into the carpet. He comes up to where the general is sitting on his throne. And Rabi'a comes and sits right down next to him. So the soldiers grab, because their generals are like gods. They grab Rabi'a and they throw him on the ground. So Rabi'a gets up and he says, we used to think you are intelligent people, but now we can see you are really stupid. Because some of you behave like lords over the other. He said, what do you want? I didn't come here from my own accord. You invited me. What do you want? This is how he's talking to the general, the leader, general of the Persian armies. So this Persian general, he says, why are you fighting us? What do you want? You want money? We'll give you money. You want sheep? You want goats? We'll give you goats and sheep. You want women? We'll give you women. Whatever you want, we'll give it to you. Just go back to the desert where you came from. And then Rabi'a said these words, brothers and sisters, subhanallah. These words passed down in history. And subhanallah, to think that I am repeating 1,400 years later, I'm repeating these words today in English. He says, we have come to take the people away from the worship of men to the worship of Allah. We have come to take people away from the injustice of man-made religion to the justice of Islam. We have come to take people away from the narrowness of this life to the vast expanse of this life and the next. SubhanAllah, what amazing words. That's what we don't care about money. We don't care about sheep and land and goats and women and gold. And we've come to save your people from the tyranny and the oppression of man-made religions. We've come to save them from them worshipping you. We've come to liberate humanity. That's what he's saying. You see what I mean, brothers and sisters? They were outward looking. Did they meet these Persians? Did they know who these people were? These oppressed masses in Rome and Persia across the world. Did they know them? They didn't know them. They just knew they're humans, we're humans. And we've got this beautiful message of Islam. It's liberated us. It took us away from burying our daughters alive. It took us away from treating women like possessions. And a man would inherit his father's wives along with the camels and the goats and the sheep. And he would sleep with his stepmother. That's how it used to be. That's the jahiliyyah. That's the depth of ignorance they were in. And I could go on and on. No, and they realized that Allah had sent this guidance. Islam had lifted them from this filth, this evil way of life, worshipping other than Allah, following nothing but nonsense. And Allah had elevated them, and Allah had given this guidance, and they, subhanallah, knew the sweetness and the delight of knowing Allah and worshipping Him and calling upon Him, and of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgiving them. They tasted it, and you know what? They wanted it for everybody else, brothers and sisters, and they were ready to give their lives. Ready to give their lives so people, so you, in fact, brothers and sisters, so you, your grandmother and your father and your mother, your grandmother and your grandfather, so they could be Muslim. How is it, brothers and sisters, that your ancestors came to hear about Islam? Somewhere along the line, Islam was brought to your ancestors. Someone sacrificed their time, their money, their life to bring you Islam. And that's because this is the attitude the Sahaba had. Now, the story doesn't finish there, because then, brothers and sisters, and this is important, the Persian general Rostam, he says after this speech of Rabi'a, only a few lines, but what an amazing speech. He says to Rabi'a, are you the leader of these people? He thinks that he's the leader. He thinks he's the Amir al-Mu'mineen. He thinks this guy is the leader. He says, no. He says, well, are you a general? He says, no. He says, who are you? He says, I'm just an ordinary soldier amongst them. You see, brothers and sisters, the one point I want to make from this is you don't need to be a scholar to invite people to